Hi guys, it's Economics here. Today you join me for what is a slightly different video where I'm not going to be talking about economic theory, but I'm going to be talking about the practicalities of completing one of these, which you will be very familiar with, I'm sure. This is an exam paper, this is a past paper. Could be GCSE, could be A-level, this one just happens to be a GCSE paper. But what is the best method to complete the exam paper with regard to filling it in, writing your answers, drawing diagrams, etc., etc. Now, I have marked hundreds, probably thousands of these papers in the last 20 years or so, and I'm very familiar with the way in which they are presented to the examiner, and therefore hopefully I'll be able to pass on just a little bit of guidance and help to you with regard to the sort of successful completion of these. And of course, the person who is marking your script is only human, and they're marking hundreds of these, and so it's in your best interests to make their life as easy as possible, because with the best will in the world, if they get to paper 399 out of 400 and the handwriting's illegible and the diagrams are difficult to decipher, then it is less likely that the examiner, for example, might give you the benefit of the doubt and give you maybe a mark here where perhaps that could maybe be the difference between an A and a B grade or something like that. So that these whole we talk about decisions at the margin, don't we, in economics? Well, this sort of marginal concept is very important when completing your exam paper. So, first things first, I would always say make sure that you fill this space. So there's an allocated space for each particular question, and if you're given 4 or 5 lines, fill the 4 or 5 lines. You'll have heard me talking in previous videos about chains of reasoning and being able to string statements together in a logical and comprehensive fashion so that one statement leads to another, and in that way you're just building marks. So if there are 4 or 5 lines, do your absolute best to think of 4 or 5 separate points maybe. Even if the total mark is only 3 marks, try and give 4 or 5 just to cover all bases. Now, what you should not do is you should not start writing answers down the side, along the bottom, along the top, down this side. You must write within the frame, because unlike the olden days when I first started marking these scripts, when I got hundreds of these posted to my front door, these are now all scanned, as you probably know, and the examiner just downloads them a batch at a time, usually 20 at a time. And you can see the frame here for the scan. So if you write things which are outside of that scanning frame, there is the potential that whoever gets your paper to mark it will not actually see some of your answer. So what to do if you get to the end of the allocated space and you have not finished your answer? Well, quite simply, ladies and gentlemen, do this. Put a little note to the examiner, because there's nothing worse than marking what you think is all of the answer, and then you get to the very end of the script and you find that there are all these additions to various parts of the paper. It's so frustrating. Make the examiner's life easy. Just put a little note and say, see page whatever. Now, by whatever, I'll show you here, it says additional space. So you might want to say, see page 12 and continue your answer here. It's good practice. It makes your life easy, but more importantly, from your point of view, it makes the examiner's life easy also. Okay, next point, handwriting. Try and make it as legible as possible. Now, I know for some of you that's difficult, and I know that under the time pressure, where you're having to write very substantial amounts in a very constrained and pressurized environment, that can be difficult. But do your absolute best to keep your handwriting as legible as possible. That just makes things, again, easy for you and easy for the examiner. Make your diagrams clear. Make them big. Don't draw them postage stamp size. Don't draw them in the margins, again. If say you wanted to include, there's a little question there, say you wanted to include a diagram here, not enough room, again, just put a little note, see diagram on page such and such. And make your diagrams nice and big and legible and very clear for the examiner to see. And in that way, again, you're doing yourself a favour and you're also doing the examiner a favour. If it's multiple choice that you're answering, don't leave any of them blank. Have a go, have an educated guess at them. You might as well have a go as not have a go. And where you're asked to draw and complete diagrams where the actual diagram is given for you, you might make a bit of a hash of that. Well, rather than scoring things out and rubbing things out and doing it 2 and 3 times, just draw it again, maybe to the side or on some of the additional space, and again refer the examiner to that particular page. So that, ladies and gentlemen, would be my advice. And the most important thing to remember really is the fact that the papers are scanned and then sent to the examiner for downloading. And you know yourselves, reading something in the flesh like this is much easier than reading something on a monitor. So again, that clarity of diagram and written work is all the more important. So I hope that's been of some use. I hope your revision's going well, and stay tuned for the next video. Bye for now.